You're right.
I'm great, thanks. So just about to live stream.
It says live
Well,
stream now.
this is really amazing, isn't it? That this is just a thing now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got an amazing example of one to maybe play a clip from, but I'll have to do the audio. I don't know if it'll come up, but
An amazing example of what? Sorry.
well, I was watching. Are we live yet?
Yes, we're live now.
Hello, everyone, or both of you.
Hello.
Hello, Irene. Um, there's a guy called Nino Rodriguez. He's an American guy, does podcasting, and he's an ex-boxer. He was one of these people who, at the start of the thing that you can't talk about, was quite outspoken, and he was quite outspoken about Hollywood as well at the time, which obviously now is a thing. Old Mr. Diddy, and they were doing a. We watched it. I don't know, it was 2 days ago or something. They were doing a podcast with a couple of other people talking about. There's been this so-called third assassination attempt on Trump.
I heard that third assassination attempt. I was just like, whatever.
So, yeah. So they're talking about the guy that's been arrested, and one of the guys brings up a picture and starts talking about the guy's name, and he said, "Hold on a minute, I know this guy." He said he's not a Trump hater, he's a Trump supporter. So live on this podcast, they tried to phone him. Obviously, he wouldn't answer his phone, but he'd been arrested and released on bail. But it was just when you actually watch the clip, and he goes, "Bring his picture up." He goes, "That's the guy." He goes, "I've got him on my phone." He goes, "Call him, call him." So they tried to call this so-called assassin on live on their podcast, but didn't get through to him. But it's a great moment, very funny.
What podcast was that?
It's a guy called Nino Rodriguez. He's
Okay.
got he's got a few 100,000 followers. He was a boxer. He was a very top-level professional boxer, and somebody attacked him somewhere outside the ring. He got attacked. He got cut up, and that kind of ruined his career. But because he was outspoken, he's out there somewhere. He's a bit like Joe Rogan, but without the followers, as it were. Not to denigrate him, because he's got about 300,000 people. But it's anyway. Well, it was very interesting because you're watching people talk about somebody who's been arrested for a so-called crime, who, once somebody recognizes them, said, "Well, this person is the opposite of what you're being told." Right. So what are the mainstream telling you? What really happened? You see what I mean? It's very odd, but
And
it's all right.
what do you think happened there?
Who knows? Who knows who's playing who? Right. The guy didn't even make it past a roadblock. So
Because it does it does seem if it was all staged, that why would they do three assassination attempts in the space of like a few
who knows?
weeks?
Maybe
And
there's
then,
more to come. Maybe there's more to come.
so you mean maybe it is actually they're trying to get rid of him? That could be a possibility.
It could be. It actually could be. Actually, could be a thing. If you've, I saw this amazing clip. I don't know if you've seen it of old Kamala. She's doing a rally somewhere, and the teleprompter froze, and so she couldn't ad lib anything. Right.
Oh, okay.
It's a great clip where they said, "We've got 28 days to go." She goes, "28 days to go." Yep, 28 days. We've got 28 days to go. We've got 28 days. 28 days to go. We've got 28 days. And then the thing starts up again, and she carries on. She's that dumb. She's that
So what
dumb.
the teleprompter froze,
It
did it?
froze. And so she didn't know what to say, because she's only used to reading what the hell's on there. This is why she won't do any interviews and stuff, because she's a moron.
Okay. So
Right.
she got
Yeah.
the
If you go and look, and I've seen a clip of it, is the comedian Andrew Schultz?
no.
American comedian, very good, very much, and well, he's more than up and coming. He does a podcast called Flagrant with a couple of other comics, and they got Trump on there for an hour and a half, right, just chatting. And he's lucid and funny and intelligent and talking about, and takes questions and whatever. And then you see this other person who they won't let anybody interview her because she's a moron. It's like Joe Biden. He doesn't even know where he is.
So
Yeah.
you say Trump's quite smart and lucid, did you say that?
In this, yeah, very smart dude. He's making comedians laugh. You don't make comedians laugh unless you're funny. You really don't.
So do you think he puts on a bit of a persona for the sort of brainwashed masses?
I
Because
don't know. I don't think so. I was listening to an interesting thing. I don't know if you've seen. There's another clip where, because it's now become apparent that a lot of black voters in America and a lot of Hispanic voters are moving away from the left to the middle and the right, that they're trying to make these people go back. So they had a thing where Obama was talking to some black men somewhere and saying, "Oh, the brothers need to get together and start voting the right way." And it's like, you couldn't get more racist than telling a group of people that they should be voting. They should all be voting for this person because, and it's angered a lot of black people, and rightly so, And so he's getting berated for that, where these people are saying, "Well, we don't, we're not going to do it just because you said we're stupid."
Yeah, Biden said something like that, didn't he? He was like, if you
if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And they mean it. The person saying it means it. They think you should all vote for this, But it's like, if you go back, it's the reason why the border is open there, right? And it's the reason what we've got going on here in America. The people they're letting in are going to be given voting rights and free stuff, right, by the left. So they won't be voting for the right, which means that the left, if they keep doing that up to a certain point, will always be in power. Okay.
So you talk about the UK or USA?
America, but to this place to some extent too. Why do you think they're getting all nice stuff? Yeah.
Is that like all that, like, is it been completely confirmed that these people are being let in, like, completely without passports and completely, like, getting hotels? Because even though a lot of people are saying it never gets confirmed by the BBC or the Guardian, and it never gets confirmed. I know that they wouldn't confirm it, but how do we actually know that is happening?
Because... Oh no, it's a known quantity. Look, you've got this nonsense with Putin, right? And the Ukraine and this, and there might be a third world war. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that happened. Let's say Putin really was a bad guy and he takes over all of Europe, right? Just like that bloke did in Germany in the 1930s, okay? And Putin gets to the English Channel. Do you think we'll let his troops in, or will we fight them? Will we try and stop them getting over the channel if we're at war with the bad guy? We'll put the Navy there and stop him, correct?
I guess so.
Right. So, and you're telling me we can't stop these people in dinghies when the French are bringing them halfway, the RNLI go out and help them. It's a deliberate, staged invasion. It's deliberate. Don't have to be that in.
You know John Waters, the Irish journalist?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I was watching a video of him recently, and he was saying the one word that they don't like you using, and they'll try and really clamp down on it, is replacement.
Yeah.
And he says that's an indication that therefore that word is somewhat akin to what is going on, even though a lot of people think that's a...
Oh, hello.
Don't worry. I think my external disk drive is full, or something has gone wrong, but it's recording directly to YouTube anyway. So as long as we don't use the word, we'll be fine.
The other word, but you've got but it's interesting how you just mentioned the R word, and the recording has. You do realize that, right? You see what I mean?
I don't think so. I don't think that would be. That's fucked up if they are monitoring that.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah, you got with AI, you can monitor any word. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's easy then.
Shall I say it again?
Yeah, but we stopped recording. There used to be a great American indie band called The Replacements.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's still recording on.
Okay, so that word that he said is correct, because that's been the plan for more than 100 years. That's the plan. Right?
Okay.
And somebody said recently, I don't know if we did it or I did it with someone else, where somebody mentioned it, and it was in the comments on a video about this subject. If you think about it, right? So people are getting uppity because the majority of people coming across the water at the moment are clearly men of fighting age, right? And a lot of them are criminals, right? They're career criminals who've come here because they know they can. Okay, so you've got criminals coming in boats, and it's disrupting the society, right? And they may end up becoming the society, right? This R word that you just said, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the story of criminals from here being sent to Australia to populate it, right? We sent boatloads of criminals to Australia.
Yeah.
250 years ago, however long ago it was, right? So it's but they sent prisoners, but we don't know who was there then. Was it just the Aboriginals, or were there other people there? Because a lot of the architecture there would suggest there already was a society. Yeah, and people are now looking everywhere around the world. There are people looking and finding stuff, buildings that shouldn't be there in places that shouldn't have them. It's everywhere, everywhere. So clearly, there's other levels to this. Yeah, and it wouldn't be the first time that people got replaced, right? So yeah, that's why he's right about that word, because they don't want you saying what's obvious.
Mm.
Right.
And it's mostly the AI though that is obviously been, the algorithm has been.
Yeah, they police
told to
words.
do
This happened to me. I think I told you this and it's a long time ago now. I would say not really still a friend of mine. I knew an American woman who was for a long time, and she was working in a university in Atlanta. And in 2007, 8, was it further back? Look, 16 from 8. Yeah. A young black governor was looking like he was going to be the presidential candidate for the Democrats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking about him. We were on Facebook, and she said, "Can we talk about something else? And I'll email you." Okay. So, because she was in an institution of learning with a lot of computers, when we mentioned this guy's name, the typing, the speed of it, everything started to slow down for her. She said it slowed down as soon as we mentioned his name, but as soon as we stopped talking about him, it sped up again. So you've got this. This is what I'm saying. This with AI, you can monitor every word that everybody says. Right.
And then like some
everything
channels,
everywhere.
Yeah, some channels have started to use keywords to sort of get past the algorithm in quite a clever way.
They have to come up with their own patois.
That's what Cockney rhyming slang was, right? It was a way to.
It was. Yeah, it's the same as patois and other places where they have that. It's a way of having your own little language to get round people. Same as Polari. We did it before. Polari was still is the gay slang language. Okay, when it was illegal to be gay, they had to have ways to communicate with each other, to talk, to describe things or actions or where they were going to go or whatever. Yeah. And so you have all these.
Was it illegal to be gay?
Up until the mid to late 60s, I think. Pretty sure it's sometime in the late 60s you could still go to prison for that. Even though it was a known thing, right? It's a known thing. People could still go to prison, I think, at that point.
And who benefited from that though? Because I thought all they cared about was whether it benefited them.
It was just you had a very purient, is that the right word? Society. If you go back to Victorian times, it really was very Victorian. They really tried to repress people until the 20s, and then you get this little uptick when they tried to and failed to have what they did in the 60s, which was to sexualize the society. So in the 20s, you get the flapper thing with the girls with the short skirts and, Good Night Baby and all that kind of stuff and everything, girls smoking. And it was all, the roaring 20s. They called it the roaring 20s. And they had to stop it because there were too many STDs going around, I think. So then skirt lengths get longer again, and you have to wait until the 60s when they come up with the mini skirt and hippies and free love, right? And the beginning of contraception. And that sexualizes the society,
So who was responsible for sexualizing the society on those two? Was that just a natural thing?
None of these things are natural. They're all complicated. No, they move society in certain ways, right?
Is it not a mix of them moving it plus
I can't remember if I showed you this, but it's a copy of Time Out. Time Out used to be a magazine where it tells you what's going on in London, right? London's there you go, such a busy city. Time Out magazine, okay? All listings. Now you'd go on the internet. And this is from March, April 1984, 40 years ago. And the headline is called Life in No Man's Land, okay? And it says, what happens when men become women?
Right.
And where are we now?
So what was the date of that again?
1984, March.
1984.
That's not a woman on the cover, okay? What happens when men become women? So you think they put that doesn't go into somebody's little. I was watching a clip today that somebody showed, which is absolutely hysterical and it's real. It's some TikTok LGBT person talking about how apparently trans people have different physics, different science, different
Different
physics because
science.
they're living in a different timeline because of their way they. And you're laughing, but it is some retard. Sorry, going to use the word has
Mm,
come up with this, and you're supposed to go along with it.
mm.
Develop later, so we're living in a different timeline, and to get the fuck out. Sorry, some
You know,
stuff.
actually, the most bizarre thing that I've seen for a long time I saw today. Maybe I can share this. Um, I'm gonna try and use the share function. Okay, we go share. Can you see that?
Not really. Is it
Hmm.
actually in English?
Oh, maybe I can. Uh, oh bloody! I never get this share thing right.
Yeah.
How about
Well,
that? Can you
can
see
you
that?
no? No, I can see it, but I can't read it. It looks like hieroglyphics from here. What's it say?
Okay, hang on. How about
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
that?
Okay. Dear,
Woohoo!
it's funny enough. I was going to mention this.
All right.
Your man Alistair Williams has just done a thing about this. Yeah, I know. It's insane, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, so it said, "Dear
Yep.
parent carer,
Yeah.
on Friday, the 18th of October, our schools will be in a
A
blue
Wednesday.
taking part in a blue nose day.
Mm.
This will entail the heating being turned off throughout the school day to conserve energy. We are doing this to help reduce our school's carbon footprint and raise the importance of being more sustainable."
Well, these retards have picked the wrong day. It's going to be quite warm.
Right.
And not it's not unseasonably warm, but it's going to be about 14 or 15 degrees. That's quite mild, really.
Mm. But I think there was some backlash. I heard that there was some
I
backlash to that. So
you
that,
would hope so. You would hope so.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Telling people that they're going to, it's just dark. They're just clutching at straws. I mean, I've seen a piece by, oh, what's his name? Paul something or other, the English guy that does stuff in America. Um, there's a little hint now. They really got just this little thing of there might be aliens. And that's always meant to be the final card because obviously they're trying to build up to the next thing. They've
Mm,
been pushing that nonsense in the media for a while, and I don't think people are really going to buy it this time. To be honest, you know,
mm.
there's a lot less of those people alive anymore. There's quite a rash of people dying suddenly at the moment. You know,
Yeah. I noticed there was a footballer who was like 31. Like, I
he's
think
not the only. Oh yeah, yeah. There's loads.
he
There's
was
loads.
Greek actually. So your bird might know him.
Yeah, no, that I yeah, very sad, very sad. Look, I was speaking with somebody the other day that I know who has a daughter who's in her late 20s. Okay, so this person has had this, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, but she's just caught that thing for the sixth time. All right,
Yeah.
six times. Now, what
Mm.
kind of thing do you get in your life that you get it and recover, and you get it more than five times? I believe it's
Mm.
called a cold,
Mm.
right? And they're still going to, even though they've had it six times.
Mm.
Six. I haven't had it once.
You've had what? The sea?
Never had it. Never had it.
I never had it because I never got tested for it.
There you go. There you
Actually,
go.
I did actually get tested for it once in 2020, but that's because I needed to do it for my job and I got a negative result. At that time, I still wasn't really sure what was going on. That was in April 2020.
Mm.
Oh, that's right. I was going to the hospital to have this little operation on my ear because I got something stuck in my ear. So I had to take a C test, and I was negative.
Negative, eh? Well, there you go.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So how did your YouTube retraining go then, as far as that's concerned? What was that about? Because you said that.
Yeah. I had to answer these questions and it was like multiple choice, like it was like a one of those like pop-up quizzes, and it
Personality
was like
test.
I can't remember the questions, but it was stuff like you know, stuff to do with these, and it was like, is this okay to say option out of three? And you just had to answer, you know, in the right way. And yeah, it's just very Orwellian.
Yeah, well, it is. Look, if they won't let you talk about something, then clearly it's the thing.
Yeah,
Right?
I should probably just say if anyone's watching this that I had to take a YouTube retraining because I got a strike on my YouTube channel, and in order to remove the strike, because if you get 3 strikes, it means that you lose your YouTube channel. In order to sort of get rid of the strike, I had to take this YouTube training to basically allow myself to get rid of the strike and carry on
Re-education.
broadcasting. So
You had to get re-educated.
re-educated.
It's coming our way.
Mm,
Coming our way. How dare you say a man can't get pregnant?
mm, yeah.
So,
It's not good. It's funny. Recently, I've just sort of see. Yeah, recently I've kind of just.
oh, the sound went a bit odd now. Go on.
I guess we've all kind of what is the acclimatized to the sort of totalitarianism a bit. We've kind of like, well, we're in kind of sort of totalitarianism light at the moment, aren't we? And like at first it was like, this is going on, and trying to wake people up, but now it's like, oh, we're in it, and it's just,
And you can't.
I guess it's like being in the 80s and being under the Stasi communism a little bit like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's an. I don't know if you've seen the article where, not that I've ever watched it, but you know, there's a show called Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Not seeing it.
BBC comedy by a guy called, what's his name? Brendan O'Carroll, I think his name is. He's an Irish comedian. He dresses as an old lady. It's set in Dublin, I presume, and very popular on the BBC. Some people like it, some people don't, and they had to suspend rehearsals of a read through after apparently he'd written, because he writes the show, he wrote some joke about Irish people, and he's Irish, and the cast was sort of up in arms, and they reported him to somebody, and they shut the show down for a day or two when he had to apologize, right? So you're getting this culture developing of the idea of everyone's like a pack, and if anybody says anything, you snitch on them. Yeah. So it becomes one person. It's always just the one. And that's what they had under the Stasi. They had plants in different places and people who were paid to grass their neighbors up. So eventually you don't know who to trust. So you don't talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the fact that the article in the paper, it's on the front page of the Daily Mirror. It's half the thing. It's a 2-pager inside. And it's all this other stuff. And the BBC's had a bad time of things because, and he's had to apologize. They're like, well, let me hear the Paddy joke. And I'll tell you as an Irish person if it's funny or not. Yeah, you can't have that. You can't have, and this is the BBC who, you know, they're still doing their sustainability crap on garden as well. They're still pushing, you know, all with climate change. You're like, oh, really? Okay, you know.
Mm.
So they're pushing all these agendas, and it's funny. It mentions in the same article about the BBC have had so many problems, like Hugh Edwards. Like, yeah, and that guy's not doing prison time for sharing images of children. You know, this guy makes an Irish joke, and they try and pull his show off the telly.
You
know,
yeah.
So the idea is to have this culture of most people will turn on the person. It's the 12 monkeys syndrome. If you've ever heard the 12 monkeys experiment, it's that
that was a film, right?
Yeah, the film's slightly different, but the actual experiment is you get, I don't know, you could do it. You get 4 monkeys and you put them in a room, okay, with a metal floor and a rope and a something at the top like a shelf with fruit on it. And the first time one of the monkeys goes up to get the fruit, you put an electric shock through the other monkeys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the monkey comes down, and then the next one goes up and they get electric shock. The third time, as soon as a monkey goes up, you don't need an electric shock. The other monkeys pull him down because they don't want to get a shock. They realize if we go up there, we're going to get a shock. Don't go up there. And so, and one by one, what they then do is they take each monkey out and replace it with another monkey, right? And eventually you have a whole group of monkeys who've never been electrocuted. But if one monkey goes up the rope, they'll pull him down.
Right, like crabs in a bucket type style.
I don't know how crabs in a bucket work, but yeah, basically. So the idea is eventually you can condition people to do something even though they've never experienced the punishment, right? So that's what this language thing is. It's getting people to go, oh, you can't say that, or you can't do this. Well, I can.
Yeah.
Go away. So they want you to. They want to pull comedians down. Ricky Gervais, Rowling, all of these people who've got money who can afford to stay out of it. They try and pull people down. Yeah, cancel people. Just
No,
for speed.
it's almost like a neuro-linguistic response, because like I feel it too, even though I'm a bit less bothered by it than some people. Like when I'm posting stuff on these channels, I do feel this like response in my body, like if like this and not like it, and I can like feel it, my body like being affected by it.
Yeah, probably.
Like someone likes it, I'm like, ooh, someone likes me, and if someone doesn't like me, I'm like,
yeah, it's all right. But the people who designed all this shit know that, right?
Yeah.
They know that. They know that. So, did you get a chance to look at any of the myriad links I sent you? I know there was a lot.
You sent me
Loads of stuff.
So basically, what I've done is I've written down the main things, but I've kept all the links on a separate window in case you want to go to them.
The Larry Fink one is the most important. That's that little 1-minute clip. The guy from BlackRock.
Do you want me to play that now?
I don't know if you can. You can play it if you need to play the audio. So he's the guy. This is years ago.
I can play it.
Play it.
Yes. Okay. Right? Here we go.
This guy is in charge of about $12 to $15 trillion of investment. This is why you have all the woke crap in these companies.
Okay.
Right. I think this interview is about 2016, 2018. Yeah, World Economic Forum. Right. And he's going to explain what he's doing and what he's telling you what's happening now, but a long time ahead of it.
So what is this?
Just click on it. It's only a minute. I can't hear it.
Let me just make sure that the sound is shared. Share sound. There you go. How about now?
Try it now.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
Right. Okay, so what he's saying there, we just talked about behavioral change. So what they're doing, they've got money invested in every major corporation in the world. This is why they all do the pride stuff and the LGBT and the diversity and all of this nonsense to their own detriment, because these guys will pull their money out if they don't. And if these guys pull their money out, most of these companies are screwed, right? So it's do this or lose your money. Yeah, that's where when people say who's running it, they are. When you want to say they, he's one of them, right?
Follow the money.
Follow the money, but they're telling these companies that because get what is it? Go woke, go broke, right? So these companies are having to lose money because he's told them, if you don't, I'm going to take all my money away and you'll disappear. So they have the power to affect the media, right? These guys have got money in everything.
Yeah.
Sports, media. This is why you see this Hollywood, all the bullshit. It's all them. And wherever you put these people and you start bringing in these quotas, it destroys the companies or organizations that are doing it, because you bring in people who aren't up to the job. Right, instead of bringing in people who are good enough for the job. And that's why you're seeing all this nonsense, like some of these morons in the Labour Party. I hope everybody who voted Labour is enjoying themselves now. It's going to get a lot worse. Yeah, it's going to get a lot worse. Wait till they double your council tax, right? Wait till they give £200 billion to the West Indies for reparations. Right, where do you think that money's going to come from?
Do you pay council tax?
Yeah, unfortunately. You know, may have to consider stopping at some point. It's not really a legal tax anyway. It's nonsense, but you know. And that's the other thing. If councils go bust, if a council goes bankrupt, they can't charge council tax. So a lot of times the government are bailing these councils out in a certain way, or they're manipulating their money. Because if they say a council's gone bankrupt, anyone who's paying council tax can go, I ain't paying anymore. You can't you can't owe money to a bankrupt company. You know?
Yeah, you know when I used to do the property guardianship in London, I remember the property guardianship company, they went bust, or they went into administration, right? And we were all still living there, like 30 of us, and we all got like a note under our door saying, oh, instead of paying into this account, please start paying into this account. And we were gonna stop, but one of the people in the house like looked into it, and he was like, this company's gone bust, and this other account is just a completely different account, not to do with. And it was everyone, and so it was just like everyone stopped paying.
Yep,
that's what we did, and we got we were basically just squatting at that point, legally. Well, not sorry.
Yeah, no, you are. You're legally, yeah, because they've gone bankrupt.
Yeah,
and these councils, all of these councils are gonna go bankrupt. I've got you said council tax. Amazing. I got this through my door. Okay. So what this is from my lovely council, who charged me £1,000 a year, is sign up to our brand new garden waste collection. At £1, it's £90 a year, right? On top of when they collect your rubbish. Now, at the moment, if I put my green rubbish in a bag, they'll take it. So now they're saying you've got to pay £90 a year for this, on top of your council tax.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just trying to screw people. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. You know. But yeah, like I say, all the government spending and stuff, it's just nonsense. All the freebies, you know.
Yeah. Let me move on to this thing here, because
But yeah, the Larry Fink piece. Once you've seen that and you understand it, this is where this is why people go, why are all these film companies doing, why are people taking the knee? Why are they doing this? Why they got the rainbow flag here and not there and here and there? And that's why, because these people have got the money to tell people you need to change what you're doing. So he's saying we're going to force people to change their behavior.
And that's why all the like Lloyd's Bank or the post office is always pushing the same sort of propaganda, and it's all seems like it's done from a central point.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to most people who've got money invested in wherever it is. You know, if you're using these companies, you say, well, why have they got this bloody rainbow flag? Why have they got this? Because they've been told if you don't, you'll lose your money. Right? And he's saying we've got to force it on people. So it's clearly not what people want. Right? It's the same as old, you know, what they call them now? Not two-tier. It's not two-tier steer anymore, is it? It's queer steer, isn't it? I wonder if he went to Epstein's Island or PD's parties. There's plenty of people that did. That's such a fun. You must have looked into that, because if that unravels,
the P Diddy thing.
Yeah. Oh my days.
I don't know a great deal about that, other than I just saw a lot of disturbing videos of him and that young singer.
Justin
What's
Bieber.
his name? Justin.
Yeah.
Is it Justin Bieber? And it seemed like he was like being a bit like maybe had been abused by him. I don't know, but I mean, like it certainly could have been a possibility, right? And what's with all these like rappers being gay as well? I mean, like, why is P Diddy like? He doesn't seem gay. Like, what's this gay thing all about?
There's a lot of different levels to this. A lot of rappers end up turning out to be quite good actors, and I realized years ago that it's the other way around. They're good actors and they're acting as rappers. Okay. So a lot of these rappers that are acting tough and macho and doing we do this and this, actually they're all gay, you know. And there's a lot of them, you know. They're not what they're portrayed to be, but they're there to push this version of black culture that isn't really from black people, you know.
Yeah, you know, I did see a video of Tupac. I think it was what's that black lady called? Candace
Owens.
She was basically showing this video of Tupac in a sort of acting, you know, when the casting couch type thing.
The interview,
and he was talking like all gay. He was like,
when he does that. No, when he does that, yeah.
And maybe I could put the video into this, but they were like basically saying that the whole Tupac thing was just an act, and I don't know, but I mean,
yeah, no, there's loads of them. There's loads of them. This is the thing, you've got to start looking into it and go, what? And this is why the very brave Cat Williams, the comedian, spoke out about this. You need to go and look for that guy because he's been talking about it for a long time. Cat Williams is a very, very, very good stand-up comic who's also a good actor. But he did an interview on a program on a YouTube channel, a guy called Shay Shay. He did an interview about 8 or 9 months ago where he named a lot of people. He didn't just hint at stuff. He went boom, 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 and this person and that person and this money and that money and this person. And he named a lot of people. And a lot of people said, oh, he's crazy and da-da-da. And then the P. Diddy thing comes out. It's like, nah, he's not. You know?
So why does the P. Diddy thing even come out? If it's been kept under wraps for this long, why does it suddenly just come out?
Well, that's it. I mean, it may be to try and distract from the election. In America, they always do this, right? I think I said it before, there's usually, if you go back and look, there's usually some kind of viral outbreak in America in election year. Okay, so the last one was in election year. Then you had bird flu. You also had swine flu when Obama got elected. And then I think there's at least one more occasion where they've had something where that something happens around the election. Something always seems to happen around the election, you know. And this is no different, although it links to a lot of people, you know, including, you know, Bill and Hillary and Oprah, you know. So apparently some of these people have fled the country and, you know, it may be a big distraction, but he had the mansion, I believe, next to Hefner's. Okay. Right. And a lot of these mansions in the same way as on the West Coast. Well, was he on the West Coast as well, I think. But in Laurel Canyon, when I told you about the music business thing in Laurel Canyon in America, there's all these mansions that have tunnels underneath. Yeah. If you want to do things to people and no one to know about it, and you can move them around underground, no one's going to know. You know. And you have to, these are people who've been around a long time. P. Diddy's just the latest party holder, you know. And a lot of people went to these parties, a lot of them, you know. But Cat Williams got on the wrong side of these people quite a few years ago, maybe 20 years ago. In his act, he went to a mansion party and saw something, and he told this audience what he saw. And he was talking about a rapper kissing another rapper, right? And it was like, this audience were in, you know, hysterics, but like shocked hysterics, because he'd leaked something out. You know, I saw something I shouldn't have seen. And so they went after him, and he had quite a checkered career of the media trying to pull him down and get him into fights and bankrupt him and do this and do that. And he sort of managed to work his way through all of it, you know. Very interesting character. Very, very funny comic. Very funny comic. Knew Prince as well. Talked about Prince. He knew stuff about Prince as well, I think. You know.
Cat Williams.
Yeah, K-A-T.
K-A-T. Okay, I'll check that out.
Some of the stand-up first, because he's a funny man. He's a funny man. It was through him that how I found Patrice, if I remember correctly, because I was looking for good stand-ups, and he came up, and shame Patrice isn't here, you know.
I'll share this next thing now because this has been the headlines. Can you see that? You know, whenever I want to know whether something is true, they always that headline. Yeah, it's such a bizarre way to form a sentence, isn't it?
So I'm getting a free cup of tea there.
It's like they did the same thing with the V's. It was like, no, the V is not a bioweapon. Oh, so it is it?
Dude, this was totally engineered. They've been engineering the weather for a long time. Why do you think people are talking about being able to see the Northern Lights in Fulham now?
That's the next thing I was going to talk.
Yeah.
So is that connected to the Milton thing?
Well, no, it's connected to the technology.
They happened within about a week of each other. So, do you know?
Yeah, the thing about this hurricane, somebody went into the whole symbology of what the word means and where it came from, and there's all these other odd connections to it. They give them these very odd names, you know. But yeah, it was because they said it was going to be a Category 6, and of course it wasn't, and then it was going to do certain damage, and you know, someone said it might be a land grab. It's the same as the fires they had in Maui. What's that? 2 years ago, last year, 2 years. where all that strip of land burnt, where all the indigenous people lived, and all their houses got burnt, and then all the insurance companies said, "We're not paying you any money," and they all lost their land. But Oprah had a house on the hill.
Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently you can see the Northern Lights every weekend or something from in a lot of places. But this is the technology they have to affect weather and earthquakes and all these other things does that to the atmosphere as well, apparently.
HARP, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
I've never really researched HARP, but I heard about it.
It's what is it? High altitude. Oh God, what's it called? High altitude audio.
Doesn't matter.
Something system. Anyway, yeah. But it's they have these arrays of antennas and they can beam a radio or a frequency up into the sky and it'll reflect down and do stuff, and they can most certainly move hurricanes around. That's the thing,
So
somebody was a clip turned up the other day of I think it's the show called Would I Lie to You? Where they had two panels of three people and there's a story or there's a headline and three of them tell a version of the story, and they actually talked about it. It's Lee Mack and all these other people, and somebody actually talked about weather manipulation technology in this program for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's old. They've been doing this for decades. Been doing it for decades. Yeah, if you go back to 1951, they caused a floods in Cornwall that killed about 20 people. And the government went down there when people were having a meeting somewhere. They said, "Oh, the Air Force were flying over the sky." And said, "No, it was an act of God."
Yeah, right? I remember you telling me about that.
That was hidden for 50 years until it came out around the time of 9/11. Right, 1951. That's nearly 74 years ago, almost. Right, and they were doing it before that. They've been dropping stuff from planes for years and seeding clouds, and they've got machines that can make clouds.
So why would they be sort of using it for this purpose of Northern Lights? Is that just?
No, I think that's just a byproduct.
It's a byproduct, right?
Yeah.
So when you do something like the Hurricane Milton, then a few days later you might have this.
Yeah, maybe you get this.
Right.
Yeah. But it just happens that Hurricane Milton went to Florida, and Florida is a state that votes for the, orange man bad, right?
I did see a bit of squabbling on Facebook going on about the Northern Lights. Like some people were like, "Delete me if you think that the Northern Lights are real," that kind of thing.
Well, it's no good getting into that kind of argument, people. People just have to. More and more stuff is coming out now as being a thing, right? So this P. Diddy thing, people knew about it. Obviously, if you look at videos of the parties, even the regular part of the party, there's hundreds of people there, right? But you then have these other party going on inside where only certain people can go in, and then you've got other things going on, and it's the whole thing with the supposed 1,000 bottles of baby oil that are not baby oil, but they're GHB, like literally bottles of drugs that you put it on people and it knocks them out.
Right.
There's a film, I haven't seen it, but there's a film, I don't know if you've seen it on one of the Netflix or somebody. It's a film called Blink Twice. It's based on the same premise. It's some guy has his own island and he gets women there, and then something happens to them, and a year later they wake up and they don't know what happened for the last year. And that's meant to have happened in this case. Yeah, it's the sex trafficking is the crime in on their statute. It's once you go into that level of crime, then you can really go for someone, right? So in America, if the government come for you, they've already got a case. They don't arrest you and think you might be guilty. They should know beforehand. They've got the evidence, and then they go and raid the houses.
Have you seen this as well? Like, I hope that doesn't get me a misinformation ban, but they've started to the BBC have started to actually kind of report on this.
Well, it's the BBC. They must have already fact checked it, right, Tommy?
I mean, it is amazing, isn't it, that they can just start doing this now, and maybe they've just decided, oh well, it's like there's so much of this stuff that we have to start reporting on it, and just hope that people just forget that they ever fact checked that it was bollocks.
Well, it's a difficult one. I think where we are in the timeline now is always going to be this wave of, you had the initial dropping like flies, and then you get this interim period, and then you suddenly get, this in theory a big die-off net between now and 2025 and into 25. When the population's supposed to drop. So who knows? That's one of the links I sent you. It was about a young kid. He was 18. He wanted to go with his friends on holiday. He got that, died within 3 days, and the company was saying, it's not us, not us, not us, not our untested product. Sorry, But that's what happens when you're government. I know, but that's what happens when you're government are part of the criminal gang. It's not gonna. You're not gonna vote your way out.
Anyway, let me look at the notes here. We've got about 10 minutes left. You ever heard about what David Jason and that controversy?
What, that he may have been a little bit that way himself?
Well, something like while he was filming Only Fools and Horses or Last of the Summer Wine or whatever, there was some paedophiles at his house in Australia, and that they were using it to rape some kids, and then
Never heard it.
He said he didn't know anything about it, but it's kind of maybe coming out that he's actually one of those dodgy pedos too.
Could be. You can never tell. That's the whole point, isn't it? Right? Look at Hugh Edwards on the news every night, serious and whatever, but behind the scenes, And
he just got off though. Why did they give them a proper prison sentence?
Well,
why not?
What kind of people do you think are in the judiciary?
Yeah, I get that, but why wouldn't they just lock him up? Well, why do they care about like are they all? Do they?
Well, no. If you're getting sentenced by people who are like you, they're not going to sentence you, are they? Right?
Is that because they hope that they'll stand up for them later or something?
No, I don't think so. No, this is what people have always complained about: lenient sentences on paedophiles, without realizing that maybe those people are paedophiles too.
Mm. So they in their sort of moral code, then they just sort of think it's okay, therefore they give them a lenient sentence.
Yeah, or you're a fellow Freemason, right? That's another big thing. That's still a thing.
Mm.
That's always been a thing. Loads of people have made jokes about that, going back a long way.
Mm.
He did that on Top Gear once, bless him, a long time ago. That was quite funny. That's the whole point. Is if you've got all these organisations that are run in a certain way, and you have to do certain things to join, that's how they weed people out, right? It doesn't matter where you are or however someone, it's like this rap thing you're seeing. These people who get to the top, when they get to a certain level of money, in theory, to get to another level, if you go look into it, you have to sacrifice someone. Yeah, not yourself, but you give someone up and they perform the sacrifice.
Mm.
And that's been spoken about a lot. Happened to Kanye's mum died, and somebody else died, and Whitney Houston and somebody else. And there's a lot around it if you go and look into it, So that whole business is full of people who are satanic,
Michael Jordan's dad was murdered.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was on that film, The Last Dance. I mean, it wasn't a film; it was a television series, but it was a strange death because he was just on the driving, and then he pulled up on the side of the road and he got robbed by some youths, but he was murdered. Just seemed like a strange death, like maybe it was some like warning to Michael Jordan or something.
Could be, but that's there's loads of other weird stuff like that, Isaac Cappy, go and look for Isaac Cappy.
Yeah, someone told me about Isaac Cappy. He died too, right?
Well, yeah, apparently he jumped off one motorway into the path of some vehicles. He threw himself off, they say.
So they said it was suicide, but it was murder.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's if he's even dead. You never know. You never know with these people. Maybe somebody somewhere is taking, protecting people and taking information. Maybe that's why all this is coming out. All these people going on the run. Will Smith, all these, Oprah's meant to have left the country. You don't know. You don't know.
I'll tell you, I went to Amsterdam a week ago.
Yes, and we were supposed to do a thing, but something happened to your computer, correct?
I got my laptop lost / stolen. I mean, I think I basically put it down and then someone nicked it, which was very annoying. But when I was in Amsterdam, I was like, for the first time, it just occurred to me, I've got an Irish passport, yeah.
Right.
So I could actually just move to Amsterdam and get a job without any visa.
Hmm.
And thing is, I think I thought that everyone kind of mostly spoke Dutch there with a bit of English, but it's totally English speaking. It's like they don't mind you speaking English,
No,
and
they're
that was my only
extremely
concern.
But
So
that's like a lot of places in Europe. If you go to Paris, there's plenty of people. Germany's the same. It's because their level of education in that area is higher. They actually put time into that when people are young. This is the thing they didn't do here, deliberately so. Yeah, in all of those countries, because English is the language of business, they usually do about 5 years of it from the age of 6 or 7. Yeah, so they're all fluent. Because when you're young is when that's how you make someone truly bilingual. You run 2 languages with them, and so any other languages are far easier to learn. And I realized that years ago, after I'd been at school, when I decided to learn Spanish, you realize that you were deliberately undereducated, so that people like Boris, who can speak French but is still an idiot, can keep running shit. Yeah,
I didn't know he could speak French. That's quite impressive.
They're morons, but they've had this language. They've had Latin smashed into their head when they were 6 years old. And if you learn Latin when you're really small, you can speak French, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. You only need some vocabulary words. You don't need much grammar. Yeah, it's all the same root. So if you learn that language when you're small, all of these others are real easy. 600 words in any language is not hard to learn if you've got the grammar structure. You're laughing. Yeah, and so it was done. I know that was a thing that was done here to keep people down. They never bother with language. They do it when you're 13 or 14. It's too late. Unless you're really committed to doing it. But if you do it when somebody's little, it becomes second nature. It's like people who get to swim. Yeah, you put them in the pool, and if you help them, and then whatever, and then for them it's nothing.
Or skiing is another one like that.
Yeah, but once you're older and you have to try and learn a new skill, it's really hard. Really hard. I did Spanish classes 20 years ago, and there were people there who really struggled. But in the Spanish class were other European people who already spoke their own language, French, German, whatever, and English. Yeah. When I went to learn Spanish, I had to buy an English grammar book because I realized I didn't even know my own grammar because they don't teach it enough here. It was that bad. It was embarrassing. Because it makes people in other countries think that we're all stupid, and it isn't that we're stupid, it's that we were undereducated.
Yeah, I mean, in about 2015, I lived in Italy for about 3 months working on a ski resort, and it was a different vibe in Italy. Like when I went to Turin, I thought I could just go to a club and like talk to people, and it was more like you want to be speaking Italian really here. I mean, they would be nice and speak English, but it seemed like in Holland, in Amsterdam, it was like you didn't have to say, "Do you speak English?" You could just go straight in with, "Hey, I'm fucking English. Yeah, I'm stupid. But we talk English." It was great.
Yeah. Well, you think about how many English people go there to smoke. Used to go there to smoke because you couldn't do it here.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of people in the cafe. I did get stoned in the cafe. Yeah, and there was a lot of English people around. Yeah, and I bought loads of ice cream after.
Lovely, but still no alcohol, right?
Still no alcohol.
I'll tell you what you want to watch as well if you want to laugh. There's a wonderful podcaster called Donut, right? DOENUT, Donut Factory. Donut. Oh, your Illuminati news. Shout out to Donut.
DONUT,
Donut Factory on YouTube, but he's mostly on other channels, I think. And he's excellent, very funny, gets different people on, really grown as a podcaster. But about 3 months ago, he stopped stopped smoking. He'd given up alcohol he'd stopped alcohol and stopped drugs, stopped smoking, and he stopped smoking. And it's really funny now because he'll do a podcast when he's showing little clips and things, and you can hear him eating these cough sweets because he's got to do something. Some people have got to do something. So you can hear this like a spangle moving around in his mouth because he's bless. Really worth watching him because he got some great people. He does stuff about symbology, the numerology, all these events. Milton, the reason they chose Milton, there was a show in the 60s called Milton the Monster. There's all this other stuff going on. There's a lot of levels to this, to the words, to the amount of letters, numerology, symbology. There's tons of it. He's really on it, this guy. He's very good. Very good. And you need to watch all of those things to get your head around this being a possibility, like manipulating the weather. People go, oh, it's not possible. It's not impossible. It's patented, right? Mm-hmm. Like TV signals are patented and loads of other stuff is patented that they can use on people. There is a patent in America for the fact that a TV signal can be used to put messages into your brain or make you in a state to receive messages. Mm. So there's loads of it.
I will check it out.
But he's very good. Like the Nino one as well. That's slightly more political, but he gets other people on there as well of interest because there are other levels to this, Like I say, these people with the buildings and stuff trying to uncover the real history and find out why certain buildings are destroyed, why all these things keep having fires and, recurring events. So it's always the same. It's like the Great Fire of London. Great Fire of London is not an accident that happened in a bakery. It's a clearance of some very valuable land, which to this day isn't part of England, Very valuable land. And that's what they do when they want to do that. They have a fire. It's like the one at Camden years ago, where at one part of Camden Market, the guy who ran it wanted to do some changes and their stallholders didn't like it. So he had a fire.
Very corrupt, isn't it?
And it burned everything in around it except the pub on the other side, the Hawley Arms, and a few other bits and bobs. Everything that he owned got burned. Really amazing. Amazing luck.
And the insurance companies pay out still, even though it was deliberate.
Well, it's deemed to be deliberate, I think, but But people do it all the time. That happened to me around here. There's a shop around here. There was a takeaway. They had a fire, big fire, a couple of years back. And one of my neighbours, oh yeah, I know the guys who run it. Yeah, every time they want to redecorate someone, they have a fire. Common practice. If you've got money and power.
I wouldn't have the balls to do any kind of insurance scam. I don't understand why some people just have the balls to just flagrantly.
Because they're wired differently.
Yeah. I guess so.
You're running out of time, but I don't know if you saw it recently. There was they released the footage of this English woman that was arrested. They raided her home, and what it had turned out was that she'd murdered both her parents and kept the bodies in the house for about 4 years while she kept claiming spending their money. Right. And if you see when they pull her up, yeah, I know I deserve to do my time, and like she murdered her mother with a hammer. Right. She poisoned her father, and she's standing really calm and cool. Like you wouldn't even contemplate doing something like that, right? Let alone be
psychopaths.
Serve my time, and that's a psycho. Yeah, you wouldn't even contemplate doing that, and this person did this. Imagine she tells the guy. Imagine you're the poor cop, and you have to go upstairs and find the mother's body that's in the wardrobe that's been there for 4 years. What condition do you think it's going to be in?
Not very good.
Not very good. And he's got to open that, and then he's got to go home at night and live the rest of his day. Right? He might have a fat, whatever. You've got to see this stuff. Most people don't want to see that kind of stuff. That's what the P. Diddy thing's about. They don't want to believe that this stuff happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we leave it there, mate? Because it's 9 o'clock.
We'll do another one soon at some point. Let me know if you've got any more odd shit to talk about.
Yeah, that was great. Well, I'm going to upload it, and if I have time, I'll put the clips in of what we chatted about, put it on BitChute, and hopefully it won't get pulled off the YouTube with a medical information.
Now, this guy Nino that we watch, he's got a great name for it. They call it Fluff Tube. Fluff Tube. So we call it a Fluff Tube now. You got to watch the clip. I'll send you the link to this guy's podcast when the guy recognizes him. That's the guy. This is the guy that tried to kill Trump. I know this guy. I got his number. It's great.
Okay, send me in Messenger then, and I'll add it if I can.
Yeah. I'll send a link.
Okay.
I'm glad you got back okay and you had a good trip.
Thanks,
trip. But,
I had
you
a
know.
great time. I had a great time.
Oh,
So
and
thanks.
interestingly, of course, they've now pushed it back. I presume you didn't get fingerprinted then, did you?
No, I
Oh,
went on the ferry and it was just check my passport.
yeah,
and-
but they've apparently they've pushed it back. It was going to be November, and because they can't all get the technology right, it's now rolling over into next year. So at the moment, you can still travel to Europe without being treated as a criminal, right? That's how you know it's an organized invasion, Tommy. If they'd had their way at the moment, and you went on a ferry to Amsterdam, when you got there or before you went, they were going to take your fingerprints and a picture of your iris. Okay. That's how hard it would be to get into Europe. And yet these guys can get in a dinghy and come across? No.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, you know it's organized. That's
Mm.
why he's not allowed to use the R word. And that's why as soon as you mention the R word, what was that, 10 seconds before the recording stopped? Sorry,
That was Zoom though. It wasn't YouTube. That was Zoom doing that. So it might be something to do with my external disk drive or something.
right? So you've just lost some social credit.
Maybe. It's possible.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
All right,
Anyway,
love.
I'm going to click end. So thanks a lot, Alan, and I'll see you in a few weeks.